What is the full range of a monster hunter's powers and capabilities according to science? We need to start from the basics. In previous games, we engage in full fights, both taking and dishing out hits that could crush a submarine, while swimming underwater with hundreds to thousands of pounds of gear on. Then, when they finish the fight, they get out and keep on hunting like they were just taking a dip in the pool. And they do all that on one breath. This would be like running a half marathon underwater with a 300-pound vest on and simultaneously fighting off a pack of hungry sharks without breathing. That's roughly 5 times the oxygen efficiency of a blue whale. Oxygen efficiency is what powers everything from strength to endurance. Speaking of endurance, the endurance of monster hunters makes the world's most elite athletes look like an exhausted toddler trying to learn how to walk for the first time. For 50 full minutes, they're fighting, running, dodging, swinging weapons that are heavier than a motorcycle, and taking hits from skyscraper-sized monsters, all without slowing down. Then they head back to camp, grab a bite to eat, and head back out to do it all over again. And they don't just push through fatigue. They seem to be physically incapable of experiencing exhaustion. Their bodies are producing energy at a level that outpaces even their insane level of physical activity, all without producing a single ounce of lactic acid. And speaking of acids, the acidic glavenus has a sulfuric acid coating on its tail that it sprays all over the hunter with every swing, and the hunter's skin does not burn. For reference, sulfuric acid has the ability to cause third-degree burns on contact with human skin. If it gets in your eyes, it will likely cause permanent blindness, and if ingested, it could erode a hole through your stomach and cause death. This means their entire body has the ability to render melting levels of acidity inert on contact both on the outside and the inside of their body. Speaking of the inside of their body, let's talk venom. Raytheons regularly use their venom to kill large-sized prey in a matter of seconds while hunting. A monster hunter is not only capable of surviving being infected with this very venom, but their immune system is capable of neutralizing it in a matter of minutes without even getting an antidote. And it does all this while being able to stay in the fight and not have any of the venom's side effects slow them down or make them weaker. And it can happen multiple times in a single fight. So how does this work? Well, we have animals like possums and honey badgers that are capable of producing inhibitor proteins that can neutralize venoms that enter their body. When we consider the size of the creatures a monster hunter is getting envenomed by and what they use that venom on, a monster hunter would need an immune system hundreds of times more advanced than any creature on Earth. We're talking dynamic antibodies with adaptive immunity. Essentially, their immune system is able to learn poisons and toxins and evolve to neutralize them mid-fight. This would be like boxing Mike Tyson with 10 king cobras attached to your ankle at the same time, and you still win the fight. With an immune system like this, they likely can't even get sick or develop infections, and is one of the reasons they're functionally immortal. Monster hunters can also walk on literal molten magma without getting burned like they're tiptoeing through tulips, withstand the fire and ice attacks of Black Fatalis and Velcana, and withstand the necrotic effects of effluvium gas. This means their skin has more temperature resistance than the thermal protection system we put on space shuttles that not only endures the heat of re-entry, but the coldness of outer space. To survive all this, they would also need to have an auto-regenerative tissue that automatically replaces damaged and dying cells instantaneously, as well as have decay inhibitors that prevent DNA breakdown over time. This means that they would barely show signs of aging if they show signs of aging at all, and they wouldn't be able to contract any form of normal sickness or disease, and they're also able to instantly adapt to violently toxic environments like Chernobyl at the time of meltdown without it bothering them at all. Combine all of this with the fact that just a sip of herbal tea with honey gives them the ability to instantly recover from any injury or attack, and we basically have an immunity and healing factor that's on par with Wolverine's. For any attacks to be effective against a monster hunter, it would need to kill them instantly, which isn't particularly easy to do when you mix their invulnerable skin with our next topic, bones. Their bones withstand the impact of being tackled by Valstrax at nearly Mach 3 speeds. That's about the same as a Boeing 747 crashing into you at 759 miles an hour, or being shot by a railgun that fires elephants for ammunition and still fighting afterwards. This means that their bones are 20,000 times more fracture resistant than titanium, so they have Wolverine's skeleton as well, but with the benefit of it not being made of metal like Wolverine's is. These attacks put their skin and bones under so much pressure that it would be the same as stacking 800 Eiffel Towers on top of a single grape, and the skin of the grape not only doesn't burst, but the bones keep it from even changing shape. That is how tough their structural system is. But what about everything that holds it all together? Ligaments and tendons. The kangaroo has ligaments and tendons that are roughly 6 times stronger than a human's ACL. If you took a kangaroo's ligaments and tendons and shrink the full power of them down into the size of a single human hair, then wrapped enough of them together to regain the thickness of a normal human tendon, that would be how strong a monster hunter's tendons and ligaments are. And then their cartilage is roughly 412 times stronger than a human's. If you took the cartilage from a monster hunter's knee and stretched it out to the size of a trampoline, you could bounce a modern tank off of it and it would be totally fine. So, what about their muscles? Well, monster hunters swing around a 3,000-pound hammer like we're doing around the world with a yo-yo. This gives their muscular output roughly the same power as a hydraulic crane. Let's use my favorite unit of measurement, the Toyota Corolla. Let's put our monster hunter in a strongman competition during the keg throwing portion, but instead of a keg that's 33 pounds, they're tossing Toyota Corollas. They'd be able to yeet that thing 25.4 feet in the air, which is the same height as a 2-story building, and also puts them inch for inch in a tie for the current world record for the highest keg toss ever done. If you had them compete under the same standards as normal humans, tossing a 33-pound keg, they would toss that thing 2,230 feet in the air, which is higher than the Burj Khalifa, the tallest skyscraper on planet Earth. With all this, you could strap a monster hunter to a rocket and send them to orbit and leave them to suffer the coldness and radiation of outer space for 50 minutes, then send them plummeting back to Earth to suffer the heat of re-entry and crash into the planet with no parachute. And they could get up and keep hunting without so much as a scratch, and they could do it all on a single breath. Which begs the question, where does their power come from? You'll have to come back for that.